markings on your surface, your speckled face, flawed crystals hang from your ears. I couldn't gauge your fears. I can't relate to my peers. I'd rather live outside. I'd rather chip my pride than lose my mind out here. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I should move and settle for two kids in a swimming pool. But I'm not brave. I'm not brave.
Back to another episode of the Jay Youngblood Experience. Today it is June 3rd. It'll be releasing on June 4th, but we have a lot to talk about today. First thing I want to mention is we will be getting a TikTok and a YouTube very soon. I'm in the process of that in between working and whatnot. I'm getting that taken care of. But this month is June, and it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And there's a lot I want to talk about today. Listen, if you're a man out there, you know some of the struggles we go through as men. It's not anything that is not known among the male population. We know there are issues with how we are perceived as well as how we're allowed to open up in conversation and be vulnerable. There's a lot to be said there when it comes to that. And I have some statistics I actually want to go over. Give me 1 second. I don't even have this pulled up, man. I'm ill prepared already. Ill prepared for the podcast. That's not good. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about. When it comes to Men's Mental Health Month, men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, making up nearly 80% of all suicides. 80%, man. 80% of all suicides are men. I'm sure we can go into depth of what I think that is. During the pandemic, there was a lot. It skyrocketed actually. The pandemic actually, male suicide skyrocketed, and there's a lot of debate on what that could be. A lot of people who brush these issues off and don't really care about them because it's not something that makes the news will say, "Oh well, it's it's toxic masculinity and it's this and that." And I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. If you think about it, when COVID was happening, people were getting laid off jobs. People were struggling to make ends meet, rent, mortgages, stuff like that. And whether people want to believe it or not, men usually are the ones who go to work, and in a lot of households, women are the ones that stay home with the kids, especially during that time, because everything was, you couldn't take your kid to daycare because it was COVID. Everything was shut down. So obviously men were going out there and working for their families. And I mean, honestly, what caused that spike is, men having more pressure. You're having to try to keep a house over your family's heads, having to put meals on the table, a bed for them, stuff like that. So I think ultimately a lot of men couldn't handle the pressures of what it was at the time. And it's sad, but it's not talked about in mainstream media because it doesn't catch anybody's eyes. 80% of all suicides are male. And that's a problem. That is a problem. I think a lot of people see it as a joke. Not the suicide part, but the fact that men do have issues. I don't think in this society it's accepted as well as other genders. I think for women, they have a good support system and they are comfortable with letting themselves be vulnerable and to open up to certain people. And I think for men, it's harder. And the reason being is men are looked at as you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be tough. You're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to open up.
Facts.
You're simply supposed to, be who you are. You're supposed to be a man. Pull up your pants, bootstraps, all that stuff, man. And I'm here to tell you now that if you are going through something, you don't have to hide it. You don't have to wait for someone to ask you if you're okay. You don't have to wait, for permission to be vulnerable. You don't have to wait for permission for, people to reach out to you. You don't have to do that. As a man who struggles with his mental health every day, getting out of bed sometimes is not the easiest. Getting out of bed sometimes is not the easiest, right? You have your good days, you have your bad days. But reach out to somebody, man. Especially this month. I think we need to be more aware of men who are struggling, because it's not talked about as much as it should. It's not talked about as much as it should, and I'm not a big fan of that. I think the fact that we discourage men to talk in spaces, discourage men to be vulnerable, discourage men to show emotion is pretty sick. It's pretty sick, and that's within the male community too, I do believe, in my opinion. I think that it's frowned upon because you don't, if you're vulnerable, then you're looked at as weak, especially as a man. And I think we need to get over that. If you have a man that comes up to you and he opens up to you, it's not because he's just talking. It's because he has something to say and he wants you to understand that he's having some issues. So don't just brush him off. Men don't just talk about their feelings openly and, comfortably. Whenever a man's talking, it's usually because he has something to say and he's feeling something inside that he needs to talk about. So if you have someone who comes up and talk to you and opens up, don't just brush it off, because if you brush it off, they will never talk about it again. They won't. That's from experience. If you're listening to a man talk and he's open up, telling you about some experiences he's having, about some problems he's having, it's not because he's just talking. Not many men just talk to talk. Especially if it's something important, such as their mental health, or if they're struggling with something, or they're just having struggles. It's not because they just want to talk. It's because they need to get something off their chest, and you may be that person to where they look at you and be like, "Hey, this person is a trustworthy person to talk to." And I know a lot of men like that who don't want to talk about it. They don't. They want to keep up this strong persona to not look soft, not look vulnerable, because then you get called soft, and that's, like I said, it's within the male community too. And I'm lucky to have men who have brothers, have friends who I can open up to and talk to, but not everybody has that. So if a man comes up to you and says, "I'm struggling with this, and this, man, I just need some advice," give him that advice. Talk to him, because he's not talking to you to have conversation, to just talk, to hear himself talk. If he's having issues, he's having issues because something's going on. And don't brush that guy off, because you may be the last person he talks to. Last person he talks to. Another statistic that I think we need to be mindful of is 40% of men have never spoken to anyone about their mental health. 40%. 40% of men don't feel comfortable opening up. And I think, like I said, I think the main reason is because it's frowned upon. It's not looked to as something, men should do. And I think that's crazy. It's crazy. Like, why should they hold back? Why should they hold these feelings back and not be able to talk to anybody about it? Why? I don't understand, especially with all the struggles men go through, and this is not a jab at anybody else. Just men have different struggles than women. They do. They have different things they have to go through than women. And women have it hard. That's true. But men do too. Just because you have two different obstacles doesn't mean one is harder or less harder than the other. It's simply because they're different obstacles. And being a man, not being able to open up or not being able to talk about things really it's like being alone. It's like being alone whenever you can't speak about something because you don't feel comfortable saying it, or you don't have the right people around you who are asking you if you're okay and this and this and that. And not only that, whenever you have somebody who does ask you if you're doing okay, you feel like you should say always, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm always good." As a man, that's how you feel. And I'm telling you right now, any man listening out there, man, you can pick up the phone, text me, email me, DM me, whatever it needs to be if you're going through something that you don't know how to handle. If you just need someone to talk to, because that's important, man. It really is. There's a lot of men out there struggling every day. They don't feel like they have anybody to talk to. They don't feel like they have anybody on their side. That's sad, bro. It's really sad. Men out there who have mouths to feed, who have, a roof they need to put on the house, who have kids they need to look after, single parents, single dads. They're out there. It doesn't get talked about enough to me. It does not get talked about enough for me, because 1 out of 10 men experience some type of depression, some type of anxiety, some type of mental disorder, and it's never talked about. And it pisses me off solely because they are a man. Solely because they are a man. And it's sick, man. I wake up every morning and struggle with, dealing with anxiety. I hate crowds. I'm always anticipating something. I don't know what it is. I don't know where my anticipation comes from, but every morning I have to deal with that. I never know if it's going to be a good morning, a bad morning. You just wake up and you figure out what you're going to do that day to be better. And I don't know where my anxiety stems from. I don't know where it comes from, but it hits me all the time. And obviously, I'm medicated and I have different ways of dealing with that. I write, I read, try to deal with different anxieties that I go through with life. And also, I have trauma from growing up. Losing my grandmother was a really traumatic experience for me, right? It's just being that young. I think I was 14 years old, and losing someone you love, losing someone who was your best friend, someone you used to spend summers with, someone you used to, do everything with, just to lose them out of nowhere. It's just crazy, right? And as a kid, you don't know, especially as a boy, you don't know how to deal with that trauma, right? And luckily, I had people around me who were able to talk me through these things and stayed up with me on that and stuff like that. But not everybody has that, right? Because I'm telling you, I spent summers and weekends at my grandma's house all the time, and losing her was not an easy feat. It was not easy for me to go to a football game, playing football, throw my first touchdown, score my first touchdown, and my grandma's not there to see it. To graduate high school, go to my first prom, first homecoming, graduate high school, and not have my grandma there was a problem for me. It was. But luckily, I had a good support system around me and people that understood what was going on, and were able to there to talk me through it. Because as a 14-year-old kid, I think a 14, 15-year-old, you don't know how to deal with those emotions. You don't. Because whenever my grandma was in the hospital, I remember going up there the day before she passed away, or 2 days before she passed away, and she was perfect, bro. She was talking, she was functional, she was aware. And then the day later, when I go up there, she's not there. Her body's there, right? But mentally, she's not there. She's not even able to speak, not able to talk. She's not moving. She's just laying there. That takes a toll on someone, man. It takes a toll. And from my experiences, whenever you have issues, it's never going to be the worst issues that you may experience. And what I mean by that is everybody around you put their problems in a pot, I guarantee you would take yours back. You would take yours back. Everybody put their problems in a pot, right? And you start looking through all the problems that other people have and issues that other people have. I guarantee you, after reading all those issues, you can be like, damn, let me take mine back. I'm putting mine in my pocket. Because that's how it is, man. And losing my grandma, losing my best friend, losing someone like that was hard. I can't say it was easy. I didn't know how to process it. I didn't. And as a man, what are you, man, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? I remember my dad losing his mom and having to go to work the next day. Having to go to work the next day. How do you deal with that? Losing your mom and then you having to go to work next day. You still have to provide for your family. Still got to go to work and do whatever stressful work you have to do there. But then you also have to deal with the fact that your mama just died. How do you deal with that? And what type of issues does that lead to over time? And it goes right back to it. Just why aren't we talking to each other as males more about issues we're having? Why is it always just scraped under the rug and it's okay, well, you're a man. Brush your dirt off and go back to work. Go back to doing what you do. It's rough out here, man. It is, especially nowadays, man. It's with everything so high, when gas prices, mortgage, rent. I feel for all y'all out there, man. I do, because I feel it too. I feel it too. And it's just rough. It is rough. And then not only that, so I lost my grandma in 2015. Then I lost my granddad 2022, 2021. And that's someone who I looked up to. Growing up, he was a very firm figure, to say the least, right? No elbows on the table, no smacking when you eat, none of that at all. Elbows on the table was a no-no. You know, if you were taking a shower, it needed to be a 5-minute shower, and he was going to divvy out how much soap you were supposed to use. And he didn't like people that slept in. You know, if we was getting up at 6, you need to be up at 5 because we need to go ahead and be in the truck by 6. I was a sleeper inner. I slept in. I didn't do much of that. You know what I mean? So that was a struggle for me, but it taught me a lot of lessons throughout that as well. Having someone who was strict on me is something I needed in my life. And as I progressed through life and got older, I understand why he did the things he did. He said, whenever you do something, somebody's going to be looking at your work and be like, okay, Jacob put his name on this. Let's see how good it is. Jay put his name on this. Let's see how good it is, you know? And it really, really taught me a lot. And then growing up a little bit more, you know, becoming an adult, me and him become best friends. We're calling, texting every day. Just realizing that he was more than a granddad for me. He was someone who I looked to for support. He was a role model. He was someone who was there when I needed him. He was also a friend to me, right? He was someone who I was able to talk to every day. We called and texted every day. And he would send me his music. I send my favorite music to him. He'd ask me how I'm doing. I was working at the dealership, so he was asking, you know, how's the dealership? How many cars you selling today? Stuff like that. And to lose a male figure in your life like that, especially as I got older, I became more fond of him because I realized why he did the things he did, and that he was a perfectionist, and that's where I get a lot of my stuff from because I want to be best at everything I do. And to be able to see a male figure like him be so strong and be the rock that kept a lot of our family together, and then see him pass away the way he did with cancer, you know, it takes a toll. It does. For a long time, I was not okay. I was not okay at all. You know, and like I said, I had a support system there for me. But as a man, you also have to be there for everybody else. You don't really have a lot of time to feel those emotions. And I think that's what happens with most men is whenever the tragedy happens, you're too busy thinking about everybody else. So after the tragedy, when you're finally alone, all those thoughts and all those feelings finally come through. And when those thoughts and feelings finally come through, you don't know how to deal with them. And you don't want to give it off on anybody else because that's when it feels like you're projecting. It feels like you're making those problems for the people that are feeling the same thing as you know, making those problems worse. And that's not us as men. We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be caretakers. We're supposed to be there. We're supposed to be the rock for whatever the situation is. We're supposed to stay together. And I want to let y'all know, man, through all the experiences I've experienced, not only with my granddad, not only with my grandma, you don't have to be that every time. You're allowed to be there with somebody and be there for somebody, but also feel those emotions as they come through. Because if you don't feel those emotions as you come through, they're going to come back. They're going to come back. If you push those away, it's going to come back. I'm telling you, when that tragedy happens, if you push it away, those couple months after are going to be even harder and harder to understand why you're feeling the things you are. But the main reason you're feeling the things you are is because you didn't feel it when it happened in the first place. And I want to let you know you're allowed to feel those feelings. You're allowed to. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to be vulnerable. And you're allowed to feel those feelings. And I can only feel for the people out there who lost parents when they were growing up. Lost parents, lost a mom, lost a dad, maybe lost a sibling. I am blessed to have all my siblings still alive, healthy, and doing the things they do. Not only do I have siblings, but then I also have my nieces and nephews who I talk about a lot on here. And it's a blessing to have those. And then now, the point I'm in my life is I have nephews now who need to be strong men when they grow up. So I need to be a good role model. I need to be a good, strong role model for them, but also let them know that they're allowed to be upset if they're upset. There are ways to deal with your emotions without hiding them. And we as men need to stop hiding them. Because they're going to come either way. And they can either come subtly and you can deal with them as they come, or you can bottle them up. And the more you bottle them up, like vinegar and baking soda, that thing's going to pop. When it pops, that's when you really lost, brother. I promise, I've been there. I've been there. And I'm glad I have this platform to be able to talk to other men out there and be like, listen, you're not alone with these issues. You're not alone with these issues. You're not at all. You'll never be alone with these issues because there are other men out there who have dealt with issues that's way strong, way harder than what you've dealt with. So you're able to connect with people. And I'm glad I'm able to talk to people like Jordan Bowler, talk to people like Kenneth Herring, my tattoo artist, who have lost parents, dealt with tragedies and stuff like that, and are able to push through it. Now, like I remember talking to Jordan, one of the worst times of his life, where he's going through some struggles with his weight, and people making fun of his weight, and people, him not being happy with what he was, but he was able to find that inner strength, if you will, and be able to be like, all right, this is the person I want to be, and he found that person. That's beautiful, man. Life is beautiful. You know what I mean? And a life is only a life if it's lived. If it's lived, man. You gotta live your life. All the men out there, listen, live your life. Have fun, man. You don't have to work all the time. You don't have to provide all the time. There's times when you're able to take the foot off the gas. One of the best advice I ever gotten was from my mama, and she was talking to me. I was going through some things. She said, "Listen, your entire life, you have tried or have been perfect. You have tried to be perfect your entire life. Let somebody else be perfect for a little while. Take the stress off yourself and let someone else be perfect for a little while. Just lay back. You don't have to be perfect all the time." And that was great advice, man. That's when I realized that I don't have to do or be anything for anybody else. I can just do me and find my peace. And I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm not. I'm sure I hurt a lot of people along the way, this journey of life. And if I did, it wasn't personal. It was just me trying to find myself and find my peace. And there's growing pains in life, and it's not because I meant to hurt you or I wanted to hurt you or anything like that. It was either time for me to grow up or it was time for me to find myself, and maybe you weren't a part of that. And that's okay. I will never ever apologize for finding my peace and finding who I am and finding what I enjoy. And nobody should. Nobody should. Nobody should sit around waiting on somebody else to make a decision or someone else to be a part of their life. If it's time to make a decision and time to do what you need to do, be happy. You need to be happy at all cost. Be happy at all cost. Be happy at all costs. That's all I can say, man. And like I said, for all the men out there who may be going through some struggles, maybe going through some things, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. There's always time to grow. There's always time to be better. There's always time to make that better decision, make that better time for yourself in life. And I know it's hard. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy. But life, it's a healing process. I've learned at a young age, it's a healing process. It's a process that you may not like, but it's inevitable. So I try to see things as it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. And even if it's not, it's better for me to think it's going to be okay than for me to think it's not going to be okay. For example, right? If you're in a room somewhere, you're in your car, think of all the things in your car that's red. Just look around real quick. Picture all the things, point out anything that's red. Red, just point it out. All right, so how many of those things were brown? It's hard to realize that, right? It's hard to realize what was brown whenever you're looking for something that was red. That's the same thing in life, man. So if you're looking for all the negatives and you're thinking nothing but negativity, that's what you're going to find in life. It's all about attraction. But if you stay positive and only look for the positive things in life, that's what you're going to find. So just always envision that whenever you're thinking about life. You can look at everything that was red and you're going to find everything that's red. But if you take a step back and think positive, all the brown is going to come out and you'll be able to see all the positives in life. Because if you want to find all the negatives, it'll attract to you. It's like a magnet. Negatives will always come through. If you're looking for me, excuse me, if you're looking for it, they will always come through and you'll find them if that's what you're looking for. But if you take a step back and realize life is not about the negatives, it's about the positives, the little positives you can find in life. One thing I love, and I'm going to tell y'all about this, is so whenever I go to see my brother, he has 3 kids, Dawson, Brooks, and Paisley. Every time I come to their house or anytime Paisley sees me, she runs to me. Every time. Runs to me. I just show up. I remember showing up to their house and she saw me. She ran into my arms. That's something that's dope to me. I never thought I would have that feeling in my life. And I'm sure, Justin, you probably feel that whenever you come home and she sees you and she's like, oh my God, it's Dad. But being able to feel that through someone so innocent and small, it's a beautiful thing. So it's little things like that. I love seeing my nieces and nephews. I love seeing my family. It's the fact that I have such a big family, and I'm able to experience them, and we're all doing so well. We're all doing so well, and everybody's healthy. Everybody's good. It's a dope thing in life, man. It's a dope thing. Just whenever you're on vacation or maybe doing something special, just go back, take a little step back, take mental pictures of everything you see, and just enjoy it. It's the biggest thing I can say is just take that step back and enjoy life, how it comes to you. And those little things like that, seeing my niece run towards me every time I see her, it's something that's dope to me. I love it. So it's just those little things, man. Just those little things you need to find in life that is, so small but yet so big. You know, whenever she grows up, she probably won't remember that, but I will forever, and I absolutely love it and adore it. Yeah, I can't ask for anything much better than that, man. That's life right there in a nutshell. Having your niece run to you every time she sees you and give you the biggest hug and tell you she misses you and she loves you. That's the coolest thing I can experience in life, I think. I really think that's one of the coolest things. And like I said, she may not remember that when she gets older. But for me, that's life. That's life. And getting those calls from my mama, seeing my brothers the other weekend for what was it, Memorial Day weekend, throwing the baseball with my nephews, seeing my brother Brad having a long conversation till like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. with him, just talking about life, how he's doing. Stuff like that is sick, bro. It's dope. So I take those in one moment at a time and I just enjoy it. But this month is it's about us, bros. It's about us. And it shouldn't take 1 month for us to realize how bad the mental health it is in the male community and how we can fix that. And I thought about this podcast all day and what we can do to fix that. And the biggest thing is just we need to take responsibility as men and realize that if we're not okay, that's okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. You just need to take the punches. Find that group, find that person that you can talk to about it, and talk about it. The more you hold anything in, the worse it gets. Every time. So talk about your feelings, talk about your emotions, man. It's okay to be vulnerable. But pick, I'm telling you right now, pick the right people to be vulnerable with. The reason being is a lot of people will take your vulnerability, take your kindness, take your weakness, and use it as a weapon against you. They'll take your secrets you give you, just like a snake. They'll pass it along and make fun of you for it, spread rumors about it, stuff like that. And so you need to find the right people that support you, that are there for you. Find that support and run along with it, man. Find those people that are you can be open with and can be vulnerable with. Because at the end of the day, man, you need those people. You really do. You need those people to be vulnerable with. You need those people to be vulnerable with. And if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, I do have some advice, man. I really do. I've been dealing with it for a while. I was undiagnosed with anxiety disorder for a long time. I didn't know what was going on. My anxiety was so bad at one point, I was going and getting EKGs at the doctor just to figure out if I was having heart issues. If I was, I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't, like I said, I don't know how to deal with those situations, those issues, right? I didn't know how to deal with them. So I remember going to the doctor multiple times. They're like, no, there's nothing wrong with your heart. You're only 20, 21 years old, 22 years old. There's nothing wrong with your heart. And my mom said the entire time, you probably have really bad anxiety, Jacob. I was like, no, can't be. I can't know that. It's not even in the question. I don't have anxiety. That's not the issue. And I, was beginning to lose sleep over it to where I was having anxiety at night and it was keeping me up. And the whole time I thought it was so bad. I thought I was having heart issues. I was having these panic attacks. I finally went to the doctor and I was like, doctor, do you think this could be anxiety? Is there really heart issues being, you know, how rare is it that I would have a heart issue at the age of 22 years old? And she was like, it's quite low, especially with the tests we've ran. So we did some more things. She put me on some medicine, and it started helping. And of course, mom was right. I mean, she's always damn right. She likes to say that, but and then you start, but the thing is, there's a stigma with it. Is oh, now I'm medicated. Oh, I'm crazy, and you're not crazy, man. Everybody just needs help in different ways. We're all wired different, and there's some healthy ways to deal with it. One thing I was doing was listening to music, writing poetry. I love writing poetry. That's one of my favorite things. My sister got a book, where I can write in and deal with different issues that I'm having, stuff like this, like that. So shout out to Ansley for that. But it's not anything to be ashamed of. No matter what you're going through mentally, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whether it's OCD, whether it's ADHD, ADD, bipolar disorder, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not at all. For you to be able to come out and say, I do have this issue and I need help with it, it's the strongest thing you can do. It's one of the strongest things you can do, man. And I hated to say it. I hated to be a part of it at first. I was like, no way. Like, I don't have anxiety. That's not me. That wasn't my persona. That wasn't that wasn't me. But as soon as you come face to face with your issues and you deal with it how you need to deal with it and get some help, that's when your problems start slowing up. It really is. And I was ashamed of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that I was on medicine for something that I couldn't control. I didn't like the fact that I was losing sleep over it, but it needed to be done for me to function. It needed to be done for me to function, and I feel good about it. I really do. At first, like I said, I hated it. Saying I had anxiety, it's not something I wanted to be a part of. Right? But at the end of the day, it's my health and my peace over my ego and, everything I didn't want to be true. And it is what it is. Roll with the punches, go about life, and do what you need to do to be better. So that's what I did. Instead of, looking down on myself and saying, you don't have this, and being in denial and saying you don't have, anxiety disorder. I do. I do. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of who I am. Everything I do in life, I'm going to have that issue, but that's just an obstacle that I'll have to go through whenever I go through it. And it's me as a person, me as a human being. I was able to say that I do have this and I'm going to get through it every day. And I deal with it every day. I do. Whether it's being on time for work, I have anxiety about that, or, just being in anticipation for, having a customer at work, or, just something big's coming up and I have to deal with that. And there's anxiety. Okay, where am I going to get this done at? Where am I going to put my dog? Where am I going to dress like? What are people going to think when I dress like this? What are, all that I deal with. But as long as you take the steps to deal with it in a healthy manner and do what you need to do to be healthy and find your peace and find who you are, bro, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And a couple years ago, I wouldn't even be able to talk about this. I wouldn't. Because I was ashamed of it. I didn't want to be the guy who had anxiety. I didn't want to be the guy who, when it comes to big crowds, that I didn't want to be a part of it because my anxiety would act up, or, getting ready for something big like a party or a wedding, or, something like that, and not being prepared for it because you're about to have a panic attack. You're like, you don't know. The biggest thing for me is not knowing the outcome of what's happening or what people may think about what I'm doing. But in the day, none of that matters. Because I'll always be Jacob Cole Young. And I'll always be J Money. I'll always be young Pablo, young Caesar in the flesh. I will always be him. I will always be Jacob Youngblood. And the fact that I have these issues and I'm able to overcome them every day, and I'm able to be me no matter what people thinks, No matter what people's thoughts are about me, no matter what I dress, I know I'm going to be the cleanest out there. No matter what, I'm going to step out and do my thing every time. Because that's me. That's me, and that's what I do. I just have a couple obstacles that I have to go through before I get to the place where I want to be. And that's okay. That's okay. That's just God telling me, listen, you got a big ego, so I'm throw a little spice in there to make it a little bit harder for you. Make it a little bit less easy for you. But you still gonna come out on top because you Jacob Youngblood, Jacob Cole Youngblood, J. Cole. I'm that Jacob Youngblood, J. Youngblood. That's what you listening to right now. And I'm gonna talk my stuff because I've been through it. I've been through it mentally. And I'm on the other side screaming, I'm not at the finish line yet. I ain't where I want to be. And sometimes I take a bite that's too big to swallow sometimes. I gotta step back and be like, all right, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Right? And you gotta break those pieces down, and you gotta analyze them, and you gotta go through life, and you gotta find out what's the best phase for you. What moon phase are you gonna be tonight? What moon phase are you gonna be tonight? But everything I do, I try to do 100%. Everything I give, I try to give 100%. That's how I was raised. I'm a perfectionist, and that's where the anxiety comes from because I want everything to be perfect. Everything. From my clothes to my hair to my beard to my face, I want to make sure everything is perfect. And I think that's where a lot of it stems from. I truly do. And I will never, ever, ever let anything change who I am, what I do, or how I do it. I'm always going to be me. Always going to be me. That's all I can be. Is me. Jacob Youngblood. That's how I was raised. That name, listen, that name will be, I'll be known. When I walk into a room, I want everybody to know my name. Everybody. And when I leave that room, I want people, who don't know who my name is, asking, who is that? Who is that guy? Why is he so confident in the way he dresses and the way he walks and the way he talks why is he the way he is? And hopefully that's positivity for others to do exactly what they want to do. Because your clothes don't define you. Your chains don't define you. Your haircut don't define you. What you drive don't define you. The money you got don't define you. Who you are as a person defines you. And nobody else can define you of who you are. No one. No one can define you are who you are no matter what. I'm not trying to preach to y'all. I'm just saying, like, life is too short to want to be somebody else. And I don't. I'm me. In the flesh, me. Now that'll never change. And this confidence don't come naturally. This confidence don't come easily. Right? But as the person I am and as I've grown, I realize that I can't be something for somebody else that I'm not to myself. My happiness, my family, everything is at the top. I have to be happy. I have to find my peace. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of y'all out there who are not willing to find your peace because you're not willing to cut off the weeds, bro. You're not willing to cut off the weeds. You're not willing to get that toxicity out. You're not willing to not party. You're not willing to not go out and spend a lot of money. You're not willing to grind. You're not willing. Listen, bro. Put your head down and grind. If you want something, you want a new car, grind. You want that new house, grind. You want a wife because, you want to be happy in life. You want to have a family, you have to grind for it. Nothing is easy in this life. Nothing will ever be easy in this life. And this life is short, so live it how you want. Take that trip, buy that car, buy that house. Shout out, talk to that girl. No regrets, man. It's all about love. Peace, love, happiness. Peace, love, and happiness always. It's always about peace, love, and happiness. Find your inner peace and run with it. And I'm going to tell you right now that inner peace will never be found in someone else. It won't be. You have to find your peace first. You want peace in life, you have to find it within yourself first. And then you spread that peace along to people that are in your life that you care about. That's what I learned in life. I'm only 23 years old. I haven't even started life yet. But I realized at a young age that for me to be successful, for me to find my peace, it's within me, not within somebody else. Love and happiness, man. Today, tomorrow, and even at nighttime, it's all about peace and happiness, love and happiness. So don't let anybody else define you for who you are. You got to define yourself. And it's not going to be easy. Like I said, I deal with anxiety every day. Whether it's getting up on time, whether it's, hey, am I washing my hair the correct way? Am I brushing my teeth the right way? Is my smile okay? Is my outfit okay? Is my beard cut the right way? Is my hair cut the right way? Do I have bags under my eyes? What's going on there? You know, my eyebrows looking good. How's my skin? Is my skin all dried up and ashy? Man, is my hairline okay? Am I receding? What am I doing? My shoes good? Somebody gonna talk about my shoes today? Always, man. It's always something to hold you back. You just gotta push through and be better, do better, and be that person or somebody to look up to, look out for, and also for you to be able to look out for other people in your life as well. Because people will always judge you on how you were to them and how you looked out for them. But there will always be those people out there who are, who don't want to see the best for you, man. And you gotta learn that some of that is indirect, some of that is direct. Those people that don't have any life goals, those people don't have any goals in life, and they just want to party all the time and don't want to get to the grind and do what they need to do to be successful and find their peace. And all that's subjective. Your peace and your happiness and your success is all going to be subjective. But once you find that, man, once you find out who you are, find out what brings you happiness, what brings you peace, that's when you become truly who you are. Truly who you are. I know it's probably, you think, oh, it's easy for you because you behind the mic, you behind the camera, and you talking about it. But not only have I talked about it, but I've lived it, bro. I've lived it. It's not easy. It's not. Dealing with loss, family members, dealing with trauma, dealing with heartbreak, just dealing with life is not easy at all. But you gotta find that inner strength, that inner go, that inner will to, that how to, and you take it and you go, bro. Take it and you go. And it's not easy. Like, it's really not easy for me to sit back behind this mic, behind this camera, and say all these things about how I'm dealing with certain things such as anxiety and depression. But if this podcast, if this all helps at least one person, whoever listens to it, then I'm happy with it. Honestly, if I'm affecting at least one person out there, who are dealing with certain things that they don't know how to deal with, and they hear me, talking about it. I'm not no big figure. You know what I mean? I'm not no famous guy, and that's okay. But they're hearing another man talk about it. They're hearing another human being talk about it, especially today in this month, in this environment we live in today in the USA. If you're able to hear me and I affect you positively, that's all I care about. Because whenever you're in a dark room, if you can be that light for somebody and you can help them out in some way, and that's the biggest thing I can leave in this world, is the fact that I was able to make people happy. I was able to make people smile. I was able to help people through hard situations. I was able to help people in whatever way this podcast may help someone. And that's dope to me. That's dope. I do this every Monday and Friday, not because, I want the views or I want the people to, look at me. I'm not a pick me person. But if I'm able to help somebody, and if I'm able to spread dialogue that people aren't talking about as of recent, and it's positive, then I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Absolutely here for it. And if, like I said, if you're struggling with your day to day, you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or if you're, struggling with life, not really sure where to turn, I don't have all the answers, but we can talk about it. I will never claim to have all the answers, but we can talk about it. You're not alone in this life. As a person, as a man, I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. But I always strive to be the best man I can be and be the best person I can be for the people around me, for the people that listen to this podcast, and all the above. And I want to shout out to all the men out there who are struggling every day, trying to provide for their family, trying to provide for their loved ones who are struggling. Man, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. But there's always a light at the end of the tunnel to help you out, to help you go through the things you go through. And, it's life, brother. It really is life. And no matter what your struggle is, there's somebody out there for you. If you go, like I said at the beginning, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, on Spotify, on Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, reach out. We can have a conversation, whatever you're struggling with. And just know that your life matters. No matter what people think or what you hear on social media, your life matters, and it always will matter. It does. There's someone out there that loves you, and have that conversation. Going back to 80% of all suicides are men. Reach out to your loved ones, talk to your loved ones, and if you are having a hard time, I guarantee you, a conversation is better than not having you here. All right. Conversation is better than not having you here, man. Talk about your feelings, talk about your problems, talk about, all the things you got going on. Just have a conversation, talk to somebody. If you need help, reach out for help, man. And it's it is National Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a lot to put in all the conversation. It's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to talk about. I'm sure this won't be the last one of the month. It's a long month, 30 days. Like I said, whatever you look for in life is what you'll find. So you need to look out for those positive lights in your life, and hang on to those and keep pushing, man. This has been another episode of the J Youngblood Experience. Shout out to all the people out there who are struggling just like I am with a mental disorder or a mental problem or mental health issue. You are not alone. You will never be alone. I promise you it. I promise, bro. I promise there's someone out there that loves you and is willing to have a conversation with you and would rather have that uncomfortable situation than for you to not be here at all. So reach out, talk. Other, people reach out to your mans. Reach out to them, talk to them, see how they doing. Reach out to them. Make sure they're okay. And that goes for everybody. I don't care if you're a man, you're a woman. Doesn't matter. Reach out. Make sure they're doing okay. Make sure we're having those conversations. J Youngblood Experience. Back with another one. I appreciate everybody listening today, being a part of this experience with me. And I love all the positive feedback that I've been getting. I had someone stop me at a wedding and tell me, I'm glad you're talking about this, man. It's something I've dealt with. And that's really what I do this for. So shout out to y'all. Love y'all. Take it easy, brother.